Welcome, Future Diplomats. Whether you are here watching live or later on YouTube, today we're diving into one of the most important skills you need to pass the FSOT and the FSOA. And this is going to be professional writing. As a future diplomat, your words are more than just sentences on a page. They carry the weight of the United States policy, values, and credibility. Writing well isn't optional. It's mission critical. Let me show you why. So here's an example of a sentence that you could see in a memo draft. We think maybe this plan could possibly help improve relations if everyone agrees. Now, here's that same thought written like a diplomat. This plan will strengthen bilateral relations provided both parties endorse the agreement. I think what makes this sentence more, not just diplomatic, but just more precise, is knowing the terminology, but also the structure. So notice the difference. The first is hesitant, it's vague, it's uncertain. The second is confident, concise, and actionable. The kind of writing that builds trust and moves policy forward. That is exactly what we're going to be practicing today, as well as structure for our writing today. So writing that makes you sound like you already belong in the Foreign Service. So let's get started. First, I want to make sure that I am making sure people understand that today is August 11th and August the 19th, which is not that far from now. Registration opens for the FSOT, and that is going to be testing dates between October 4th and October 11th of this year. As of right now in Pearson View, this is accurate information and has not changed. So do be prepared on August 19th to go ahead and get your application in if you are taking it for the first time or updating it, and also submitting your personal narratives on that day, which we're going to be talking about today as well. I've already completed a personal narrative workshop, a deep dive into personal narratives, specifically on the STARL method. Today, I will be introducing a secondary method that you can use to execute your thoughts. And as always, I do stress that if you're going to be submitting your personal narratives and looking to choose the date that you choose the date that you are taking the FSOT, I would recommend not waiting, getting your personal narratives together now, and then getting them prepared on day one, because there's going to be many sessions that were postponed from the past. Those people who were expected to take it then, they're going to be looking to take it now. So get your seat, because they are limited proctors every single time, in person and in the virtual space. And if you're not going to take it in October and you just so happen to not see any spaces and you got your application in, then you have to wait until next year, which will be January. So that registration will open actually this year, December 15th. The agenda today, as some of you have already seen, we'll be discussing professional writing for diplomats, specifically FSOT, personal narratives, FSOA, and some techniques that can help you with all three. And we will bypass the quiz for the sake of time, but there is going to be a quiz in the Future Diplomats Society platform, the FSOT.com. So if you are already you've already created your profile, you should see that soon. I'm going to be updating new quizzes, also new segmented quizzes, and also some additional pieces there too. So just be on the lookout for that, and I'll make sure you know when it is available. But that new method that I'm going to be introducing today is CCAR, or I'm going to say the CAR method for personal narratives, and the BLUF strategy for the FSOA. And here I have double the slide. Okay, I just want to make sure you got it twice. So, all right, so Future Diplomats. So let's talk about one of the most heavily weighted parts of the FSOT, the essay. The FSOT essay is not a creative writing contest. It's a professional, persuasive piece that must show that you can organize your thoughts and defend a position and communicate like someone who is representing the United States of America's and the interests in the world stage. So the framework, our goal today is to let this person in. Our goal today is to master a reputable structure so that you can score high under time conditions. That structure is simple but powerful. So in a nutshell, we're going to be looking at intro, and this is just for this section, intro, body, and conclusion. You're going to state your position, and this is for the essay. State your position early in the first sentence. In the body, you're going to give 2 to 3 points, and I will show you what this looks like. And also in the conclusion, restate your position and summarize your points. So think of it like briefing the ambassador. They need your recommendation first, then supporting reasons, and a strong wrap up so that they can take action. That method you'll see a little bit more broken down in the BLUF method. So on your screen, if you were taking notes, you will see the FSOT rules, which are making sure that you have a clear proposition or a clear thesis statement presented early in the paragraph, a well-organized structure, commonly a 5-paragraph format. Now, you're going to see on this screen that there's 4. The 5th, technically what would be number 4 on this, and then 5th will be the conclusion, will be a rebuttal or counter argument, which is optional. But just for the sake of getting you the foundations today, we're going to go with the core of it all, which is the introduction with the thesis, supporting argument, 1, and your second point, number 2, and then wrap up with the repositioning of what your position is. If you want some bonus points, here is a statement. The United States should significantly increase its investment in renewable energy as part of its foreign policy strategy. Do you agree or disagree? Support your position with specific examples. If you are watching this video now or later and you are with the Department of State, I did not write this down from when I took the FSOT. If it is so similar to one in the past, I think it's just a combination of what's just out there on the internet. So I have taken the FSOT and I have taken the essay, and I did pick a position to argue. I'm gonna let this person in. And I will say, based on my experience, this question looks very similar to what could be on the test again. And I will say that the position that I needed to argue, I didn't have any knowledge of it, no real experience of it. But just thinking about all the different things that I've maybe heard on LinkedIn or on different places on Google, on just different news outlets, I just kind of formulated my thoughts right there in the moment because I understood what the point was. They didn't care so much about what I thought, but how I thought. They wanted to see how I can convey my thoughts on paper, regardless of what I believe in. So that's what I went with. So before I show you an example of this answer, I'm going to give you a bad and a good and a great range of response. So here we go. So the prompt is: economic sanctions are an effective tool of foreign policy. Agree or disagree? Now, a bad response is economic sanctions have been used a long time and they can be good or bad. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. It depends on the country, the situation, and the people. We have to look at all factors before deciding if they're good or bad. The analysis: there's no clear position in the first sentence. It's very general, it's very vague, there's no real examples. And it reads like someone is thinking out loud. It's not really making a case. Now, to step it up a bit, here's a better example, but it's not the best, but this is a better example. It's going to be more clear, but you'll see. So economic sanctions are an effective tool of foreign policy when they are targeted and supported by international allies. For example, and there's my example there. For example, sanctions on Russia after its 2022 invasion of Ukraine had a strong economic impact. They are also a non-military way to put pressure on regimes. However, sanctions can harm civilians, so they must be carefully used. Here's the analysis. A clear thesis in the first sentence, great. It gives two reasons: economic impact and non-military pressure. And limited depth, examples are mentioned, but not fully explained. Now, here's a better example of what that can look like. Economic sanctions, when strategically targeted, are paired with diplomatic engagement, are among the most effective tools of modern foreign policy. First, they can isolate regimes economically without risking military escalation, as seen in the global sanctions on apartheid era South Africa, which contributed to political reforms. Second, when coordinated with allies, sanctions amplify pressure, as demonstrated by the United States and the EU joint sanctions on Russia in 2022, which weakened its currency and restricted key industries. While sanctions can impact civilians, careful targeting and humanitarian carve-outs can mitigate these effects. For these reasons, targeted multilateral sanctions remain a vital instrument of the United States diplomacy. The analysis: thesis stated in the first sentence, two strong points, each with specific examples and many analysis, acknowledges counterpoint, and that's the rebuttal in a way, acknowledges the counterpoint to civilian harm. So here's the good thing, but here's what happens also, and addresses it. Smooth transitions, concise yet complete. All right, so I'm going to show you an example, and this is a real example of a response to that question. So when it comes to the FSO essay, you're not just being graded on whether you agree with the United States policy or predict the perfect outcome. You're being graded on whether you can take a position, defend it logically, and write clearly under time pressure. The key is to have a repeatable structure that works for any topic they give you. Today, I'll walk you through a sample FSOT essay question, show you a high scoring response, and explain why it works so you can replicate some of the same way on the test day. So the introduction: the United States should significantly increase. So there's strong thesis and taking a stance. The United States should significantly increase its investment in renewable energy as part of its foreign policy strategy. Do you agree or disagree? And that's the question there. Support your position with specific examples. You'll have 50 to 60 minutes on the actual test. That includes brainstorming, outlining, writing, and then reviewing. The difference between passing and failing often comes down to planning those first 5 to 10 minutes well. So you have your intro that states your position with one sentence. And I read it as the positioning, because I mean, there's a strong way to position yourself for your thesis. So I would definitely consider kind of coming out the gate with that. Intro, state your position in one sentence. In the body, reason number one with example, reason number two with example. You could go with reason number three. Typically, two reasons are going to be good. You could also have a counter argument, as we stated, in a rebuttal, as I gave with the previous example that showed your positioning. But this is also another aspect of what happens if that comes AI. So I'm not really trying to throw a balloon. Sorry about that. And of course, the conclusion, summarizing and reinforce positions. So this is a 5 to 6 paragraph or 4 to 6 paragraph structure that is easy to remember and that works with almost every FSOT essay topic. So again, you can screenshot this if you like. This is the first part of it. And here is the second part of it. So I want to walk you through the actual model of the essay. So the introduction. Notice how the position is stated immediately. The United States should significantly increase its investment in renewable energy. There's no suspense. The reader knows exactly where the argument is going. Body, paragraph number 1, energy security. We use historical example, the 1973 oil embargo, to show why independence on foreign energy is a vulnerability. Historical reference gives credibility. Number 2, here we bring in the data. $1.7 trillion in global renewable investments. This is a quantitative anchor. The FSOT graders like to see evidence, not just opinions. Even thinking about that right now, when I wrote my first FSOT essay, it was all based on someone else's opinion. I did not have many facts other than me referencing, according to what I saw on MSVN or what CNN or whatever, Fox. This is what I saw on LinkedIn. So it was someone else's opinion, but still, I think this is another reason why not only historical events, U.S. history, world events, but also current events is so important. So you can kind of be abreast of what you may need to write about, not just for the essay, but also for the multiple choice questions and in the job knowledge section of the FSOT. All right, so number 3, climate diplomacy. We tie the argument to U.S. leadership and alliances. This links the domestic action, renewable energy, to its foreign policy impact, critical for FSOT topics. The optional, counter argument and rebuttal, but needed and necessary. More so, it just adds additional texture so you fully are speaking to everyone in the room or directly on paper, so that as you're writing this to the person that needs to see it, if it is an ambassador or a DCM, then they will know. The essay acknowledges critics that renewables are costly and intermediate, and addresses it with solutions: grid monetization, energy storage, and diversified portfolios. And the conclusion. So this is the wrap up. It restates the thesis in a fresh way and leaves a strong closing message: strategically, necessity, and enduring benefits. This sticks in the reader's mind. You can screenshot that as well. All right, so let's jump into personal narratives. Well, first, the time right now is 7:25. We just completed the first section. Do you have any questions about the FSOT essay, or do you feel comfortable sharing some of your FSOT essay experiences? You can feel free to either put them in the chat and I will read them, or you can either raise your hand on Google Meet, or you can just come off mute and share. It's up to you. Jasmine.
Hi, Travis. So I got a question on essay. It all looks good, but my creative writing in this, I would like to add one point, like, say like climate diplomacy, like, how to end sick. Can I put it there, like, So it's like cooking. You can't overdone if it's sanctioned. It's overdone. It have evidence over the internet. Say, for example, in China, people are suffer because the sanction. The business actually suffer on both end. Like that ingredient from probably a little bit long. I'm trying to cut it short. Like a lot of ingredient we have in America from China to make like electronic product or another important aspect in our life. So overdone, that's like cooking. Overdone, that would not just the food is not delicious. That the goal and the effect we want to achieve is not didn't work. It did the opposite. Like no one can have the food. So
For sure.
It really happened. I saw from internet like
Wow.
evidence over places like the sanction earlier did to China. Then the US merchant complain about everything goes up like diaper and this daily up, so they are not happy about it as well.
You know, I think that's a really great point that you're making, Jasmine. And I think, and I've said this before in other sessions, this presidency, this administration, regardless of how you vote, I have learned so much that I didn't see before, or it just never hit my table, or it never affected my pocket as much. But in what 100 days, I've learned about tariffs, sanctions, and even certain countries that are being impacted, and now we're also being impacted by their countermeasures. So I've learned so much in this session. So that's a really good example, and I appreciate you for sharing that, Jasmine.
Thank you.
We have, let me see, a note. Let me read that in the chat. Can you scroll up? Did that. Okay. Lee, good to see you. Basically, the essay is not based on your opinion. It is more fact. Exactly. And the key word there, what you're saying is more fact.
On fact.
So, really good point there, Leah. Kate.
Hi. I wanted to share my experience, which is what I did. I went online and I found some. I took it last summer. Didn't get through, obviously. I'm still studying here. I'm here.
Glad you're here.
Yeah. What I did is I got some prompts and then timed myself for how long it took me to write the essay, and I was able to break down how much time I wanted to give myself for planning. And I think do they give you 10 minutes at the beginning where it's like you can read it, because they give you 3 different options and then you can choose which one that you want to write about. And then I think it's like 10 minutes, 8 minutes or 10 minutes or something at the beginning. So you can structure that. Where I feel like I fell down on it was, and this is actually, seeing this example essay is great because I wrote too much. I went too deep and I didn't finish editing and proofreading. And it was like a weird keyboard that I wasn't used to. And I knew that I had some typos and I didn't get to go back and fix the typos, you know? So it's really good to see that you can just have like a couple of sentences in each, you know, because I was trying to write this like, you know, dumbed down sort of 5-paragraph format. You know what I mean? Like,
for sure.
You know, I mean, I tend to be verbose anyway, but this sort of timing it, making sure like, okay, I have 5 sections that I have to write. I have, you know, 20 minutes. How many minutes per like, is it 5 minutes? You know, just keeping an eye on the clock, because the clock's going the whole time, and practicing that alone, like just shutting off everything and then trying to do a prompt, giving yourself the 10 minutes to prep, and then seeing where you get in your 20 minutes. You know, I think that that sort of rehearsal by rote is super handy.
I love that. And you're right. I mean, and you're a writer. You are an actual real life writer.
Yeah.
So I understand personally a little bit more so like how your brain is thinking and how can you, you know, just put it right here in this screen that they're giving you. It's not a standard WordPress, you know, processor screen. It's or application. it's their software right there in the middle. So absolutely.
Yeah. And it's a weird computer, and it's a weird input. It's a weird interface. It's like really basic, and you're used to being able to formatting. You know, if you are on the computer a lot, you're used to having all the sort of conveniences and tools and autocorrects that you normally have. You don't.
Right.
So that's sort of where it trips me up. And also, I feel like one thing, and this is, you know, maybe just because you get passionate about these things as you're studying, especially for foreign service, you know. You have all these opinions, and I found that what I had to keep doing is like, you don't need to say everything. They just want to know that you can write. They just want to know that you can argue. They don't need to know, you know, your opinions on these little things, right? Well, I could digress, you know. It's like, pick your 2 points, write about those 2 points, get it done, go back and edit it. If you want to make it jazzy at the end, you can go back and add something, you know. But
100%.
Strong closing too. Make sure you have a strong closing.
Agreed. It's like, say what you said, tell them what you're saying, and tell them what you tell them what you said.
Right.
As far as, you know, just in that way. Jasmine, I see your hand up.
Yes, I want to ask Kate, what your definition as strong closing? Help me understand things.
Well, and this is me saying it as somebody who edits a lot of copy for people in my professional job. People will just sort of stop, you know what I mean? And they won't sort of wrap it up. They won't give it a neat closing. So it's like Travis is saying, like you give your thesis, which is, you know, the point that you're going to argue, your 2 points, and then you summarize it at the end. Okay. You know what I mean? But you need some sort of a summary to wrap it up, so that it's not just, you know, you're not just like ending on the last fact that you put out.
Got it. Thanks.
How do you land that plane, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well put.
Got it.
Yeah. Because I mean, you can just keep going until you run out of gas, and that's context. So, but I really love the way Kay said, if you have not had a chance to, and it's a great question, Jason. I really appreciate you for asking that. If you have not had a chance to check out the writer's desk inside of the Future Diplomats Society, which is at the FSOT.com, there's about 43 of you, I want to say, that are in testing the platform, but these tools are active. So you can actually go directly into the writer's desk, choose essay writing, and you'll see that there's timed prompts here, 50 minutes. And you can choose a prompt to debate or, you know, provide your thoughts on. And just as an example, you can start writing. And this will give you a real experience when it comes to time management, and also being able to be in a screen where you don't have anything else other than, if you have Grammarly, then you may have that. But when you are in the testing center, you're not going to have it. And I think even when you are on your computer taking it, which I have not done, I've taken it in a testing center. I'm assuming that you're not going to be able to leverage any type of plugins like Grammarly or anything of the sort. But yeah, this is a really great way for you to actually put this in motion and to test out really what you're made of when it comes to writing. And once you're done, you can actually get some feedback, AI-powered feedback, QEP style. So that should help you along the way.
Okay, thanks. Appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you. Next, we're going to actually go over personal narratives. And when it comes to your FSOT personal narratives and your, I'll make sure I didn't forget any notes or anybody in the chat. Okay, good. Okay, good. Okay, make sure we're good there. When it comes to your FSOT personal narrative and your FSOA structured interview, you're not just telling stories. You're proving you have the skills to be a United States diplomat. And the best way to do it is to structure your story so that reviewer instantly sees your leadership, decision-making, and results. Today, we're going to focus on two powerful storytelling frameworks, CAR, C-C-A-R, and STARL, S-T-A-R-L. These are like two different tools in your diplomatic writing toolkit. And by the end, you'll know which one best fits for your audience and purpose. So the CCAR method, and before I do go into that, in the writer's desk in the FSOT.com, you can submit your own personal narrative here, either anonymously or publicly for your peers, for other people who are other future diplomats who are in the platform to review. You can have AI provide direct feedback, or if you need just a little assistance when it comes to structuring with the STARL method, preferably. And I've done an entire session on that. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I will put a link here in the corner where you can go and watch that entire video for the STARL method. Today, I'm going to spend just a little bit more time on the CCAR or the CAR method. But if you need maybe some writing prompts to ask yourself, situation, set the context and background, where and when did this take place, describe the setting, context and background of your story. If you need those types of questions, then you can have those types of questions to help guide your response. Now, what you're going to see here in a moment is that the CCAR method is very similar to the STARL method. And we're going to move forward there. Here's an example of that. So here's a weaker example of that sentence, of a sentence. I was on a project team and we worked together to finish. We worked together to finish ahead of schedule. No details, no sense, no personal contribution, no impact. And here's a stronger actual CC or a CAR method. The context, the challenge, the action, and the results. So the context is, while serving as a program coordinator at my agency, I led a cross-department team to organize a regional economic forum with 300 attendees. The challenge, 2 keynote speakers canceled 3 days before the event, risking credibility and attendance. What was the action? I reached out to my professional network, secured 2 high-profile replacements within 24 hours, and reworked the agenda to maintain audience interest. What was the result? The forum proceeded on schedule, received positive media coverage, and secured funding for the following year's event. So let's start with CC or the CAR method. This is the to-go structured for many federal applications, including your personal narratives for the FSOT, which traditionally I've spoken about the STARL method because that is was mainly known for job interviews, private and public sector. But this is an opportunity for you to have another method in your toolbox, in your writer's toolbox, of course, if you need it. This, again, is pretty much very similar, but it's more on the level of complete execution for writing. So the context, just spelling it out, where and when the story is taking place, what's the background, the challenge, what was the problem or obstacle you had to address, what is the action, what you did step by step, focus on I, not we, again, personal narrative. This is actually your time to shine here. Results, the measurable or observable outcome of your action. So just recapping here. Context, set the scene. Let me not go too far ahead. All right, context, set the scene, who, what, when, where, and when. Keep it brief. Challenge, identify the problem, obstacle, and conflict. Action, describe what you did, focusing on I rather than we. And the result, show your measurable or observable outcome. So think CAR as your personal highlight reel. You're showing the evaluator a complete self-contained story of your skills in action. So another example, just so we can make it feel personal and make it make sense. A bad example would be, I helped my team complete a big project successfully. And a better one would be, while leading a cross-departmental team in my agency, we were tasked with producing a 200-page compliance report in 30 days. Sorry. The challenge: midway through the project, 2 team members resigned, putting the deadline at risk. The action: I reorganized the workflow, reallocated responsibilities, and personally completed 2 critical sections. The result: we delivered the report 1 day early, earning commendation for the department head. And so you'll see that just adding a little bit of structure gives the reader a digestible POV or point of view of what the story or message that you're looking to convey. So another example of that, just to kind of break that down, is that week example. I was on a project team and we worked together to finish ahead of time. Boom, that's straight to the point. But where's the texture? Where's the color? Where's the story? So that strong CAR example, the context, challenge, action, and result. While serving as a program coordinator at my agency, I led a cross-department team to organize a regional economic forum with 300 attendees. 2 keynote speakers counseled 3 days before the event, risking credibility and attendance. Action: I reached out to my professional network, secured 2 high-profile replacements within 24 hours, and reworked the agenda to maintain audience interest. And the forum proceeded on schedule, received positive media coverage, and secured funding for the next year's event. And that is a way just adding a little bit of structure. And just as a highlight here, again, not spending too much time in the STARL method today, but you can definitely check out the full personal narrative STARL method workshop. But STARL stands for situation, task, action, results, and learning. So similar to the context: set the scene. And task: define your role and responsibility. The action: the steps you took to address the situation. The result: the outcome, measurable when possible. And the learning: what you learned and how you've applied it since. So situation, wow, and this is the same context, just in that STARL method. While serving as a program coordinator, a key vendor failed to deliver critical materials on time. As lead, I needed to secure alternatives without delaying the program. I negotiated with 2 backup suppliers and arranged expedited shipping. The program launched on schedule and under budget. I learned to always maintain vetted secondary suppliers to mitigate risk. Yes, this is the CAR method. So just comparing, just to conclude the personal narratives. So both methods work, but they shine on different contexts. The CAR is ideal for writing applications and federal resumes. It keeps the focus sharp and results driven, which is exactly what the FSOT personal narratives reviewers want. The STARL method adds that final learning element, which interviewers love because it shows growth, reflection, and adaptability. So those key diplomatic traits. So think of CAR as your precision tool for writing submissions, and your STARL method as your full story arc for live or oral assessments. Both prove your qualifications, but STARL gives the reader or listeners a fuller picture of who you are beyond just the result. So in your career as a future diplomat, you'll need both. The more you practice them, the more natural you'll be able to shift between each in a concise, results-driven, and writing rich, reflective storytelling, depending on your audience and your mission. Next, the FSOA. So in the FSOA, one of the clearest ways to stand out is to write like a diplomat under pressure. And that means using the BLUF method. BLUF stands for bottom line up front. This style works because ambassadors, senior officials, and decision makers don't have time to read a long lead up before they get to the point. They want the recommendation first, then the reasoning, then the implications. In the FSOA case management exercise, you'll often be working against the clock, maybe 4 to 5 minutes to review a large packet of information, write a memo, and without structure. It's easy to get lost in the details. BLUF helps you deliver clear and confident and actionable recommendations fast. So here's a breakdown of what that looks like. First, the rules. The time allocation is a total of 90 minutes, 30 minutes, and this is just an example here, 30 minutes, read and analyze. And I did receive this from the State Department's website. So read and analyze all provided material, memo prompt, staff emails, chart, regulations, etc. It's virtual now, so all of those things are going to be in the electronic or on the web platform that they have. And it's a lot of silence. As I've been interviewing people who have taken the FSOA, it's a lot of silence. It's a lot of time to yourself. You're on camera, you're reading, you're consuming that information, so you can actually contribute your part to the project. 45 minutes to draft your memo, which is great time. 30 minutes to read, 45 minutes to write, and 15 minutes to review and revise, and that will lead you right into presenting. The key memo elements and constraints. The writing is done in the web-based form, which I just shared, with limited word processing capability. No spell check is provided, so be very careful with grammar and spelling. And this is also from the the careers state website, state.gov. You'll need to integrate numerical or data-driven information effectively. Quantitative analysis is expected. So this, you can take a screenshot of that if you're interested in knowing what they're looking for. Again, this is from the state website, not from Travis's opinion. So looking for written communication, information integration, analysis, and judgment. Now, here's the actual structure. Bottom line, logic supporting facts, urgency, and forward or the next steps, BLUF. So bottom line, your main recommendation or decision, this should be the first sentence. The supporting facts, concise evidence or data that supports your recommendation, keep it to the strongest points. The implications, why it matters, what's at stake, possible risk, or next steps. So a weak example would be the security situation is concerning, and there are various things we might do depending on how the event folds. That's very weak. But a stronger actual BLUF example of that same sentence, and I'm going to read it without stopping, the week first and then revised into the BLUF. Let me see if I can. Is it the same? How about that? Oh, actually, this is not the same, but I'm going to give you both. So the security situation is concerning, and there are various things we might do depending on how events unfold. The better. I recommend the embassy issue. I'm sorry. I recommend the embassy issue an immediate security advisory to U.S. citizens and temporarily suspend non-essential travel to the affected region. This decision is based on confirmed reports of targeted attacks on foreign nationals, the closure of local police stations, and disrupted transport routes. Acting now reduces the risk to U.S. citizens and preserves our credibility as a reliable source of safety guidance. Now, this is also an example of non-BLUF statement, but also structured and revised into BLUF. After reviewing the data on the earthquake's impact, the request from the host government, I believe it's our best interest to provide assistance. We could activate the EAC, release funds, and request a DART. Now, restructured. Recommendation first, I recommend activating the EAC, releasing $50,000 in emergency funds, and requesting a DART deployment within 36 hours to address urgency safety concerns for U.S. citizens. So here's an example of a BLUF style FSOA case management response. And if you want to take a moment to read it, you can. If you want to take a moment to screenshot it, you can. This is a recap of the entire packet of information that you will receive. And when I say packet, I'm talking about a digital packet. And this is a summary of all of what is there. So the earthquake struck this many hours ago, how many deaths, how many injured, what's going on with the city, the airport, the transportation, how many U.S. citizens, all these highlighted items here. And so I'll give you 5 more seconds just in case you do want to take a screenshot of that. Okay. All right, so the response. You want to model for the FSOA case management memo. And again, this is submitted in the web-based form. And this is in a format of a letter written to the ambassador. So you're going to start off with 2, and this is just depending on how each will start, but this is how this one is starting. Straight to the point. And starting with the bottom line, I recommend the embassy immediately activate emergency action committee, which is the EAC, really allocate $50,000 in discretionary funds for urgent local relief purchase and formally request U.S. aid deploy a disaster assistance response team, DART, within 36 hours. This coordinated approach will address immediate life safety concerns for U.S. citizens and demonstrate visible U.S. leadership in crisis response. The supporting facts. And this is all in one letter. I'm just breaking it up in each section so you can see. And just for the sake of time, you can screenshot that or read it to yourself. Essentially, what I read above is the recap here, but this is the actual letter or the memo. The supporting facts that you'll receive in your packet, it will be there. The implications. And I already know, and I can tell, it would be nice for me to actually spend probably an hour just on the FSOA case management response. I do have a video on the YouTube channel, but I'm going to actually break this down in full context for everyone. So stay tuned for that. You'll be notified. But of course, ending in the forward or the F in the BLUF, which is the next steps. And that is that recap. So executive eyes can make executive decisions. So the reason why this score is high is because it's concise, it's professional, it's correct. It hits the points. It strongly leads in with what matters in a timely manner, and it provides analysis. So this is the format. And I will spend more time on another video specifically breaking this down so we can all be successful. I've been interviewing people who have taken the FSOA, and I cannot wait to share with you what I've learned, which is partially this. So just for the sake of it being digestible on the eyes, that is that part. So it's the same response, just as you've seen in the FSOT.com, where it's asking a question, it's giving you like a template, and you can respond inside of that. Same thing here. Here's your bottom line. Here's your supporting fact. Here's your implications or your UF. And of course, the next steps are to follow. And that is essentially what that letter will look like completely sent. just to make sure I am also being mindful of time. The time right now is 7:57 Eastern Standard, so I do want to be mindful. There's a few more pieces that I do want to cover as it pertains to the FSOA. I will make a separate video just for that, so I'm not taking away from anything, because we're just days away from the FSOT and also submitting your personal narrative. So you should be working on your personal narratives now. But I definitely want to make sure that everyone is being great and successful as it relates to being confident as you're approaching. So I will share these slides in the society, in the platform, so that way it will associate with it, but you will also see it in that next video, just to show, like, and more so just for the sake of giving you a full view of writing. You typically would not use the STARL method in the FSOA, but for those who are completely locked in with writing in the STARL method, and they wanted to see, what does it look like when you are conveying the same story in this way, in the situation, task, action, result, and learning, this is what they will look like. But what you really want to lean into for the FSOA is going to be that BLUF style. And we will spend more time on that to make sure that we are completely great there. So if you are watching this and you would like to be added to the short list for the FSOT platform, which is the Future Diplomats Society, you can do one of two things. You can go directly to the FSOT.com, create a profile. It will give you a 7-day trial. I will convert it to a 4-month trial at this point. Or you can just email me at travis@thefsot.com with your name. Give me a moment to respond, and I will email you everything that you need. I'm only looking for a few more people to test. Right now, again, I'm at I think like close to 42. We're looking to get to 50. So if you would like to be in the first 50 and also to provide feedback, I mean, this is a great opportunity to be a part of something new, something from the ground up. And you can also scan this QR code as well, and it will take you directly to the website, so you can start your 4-month trial. Again, it may say 7-day trial, but I will convert it within 24 hours of you joining. So thank you so much for those who have started this journey with us. We have been studying together for 3 years. Some of us have taken the FSOT before at least once, but we're definitely going to be taking it here in the next couple sessions and making sure they know that we're here and ready to serve. So the path to the path to diplomacy is long, but you don't have to walk it alone. If this video helped you get one step closer to your dream of becoming a U.S. diplomat, make sure you like, subscribe, and share it with someone else on their journey. I share new resources and training every week to help you prepare for the FSOT, the FSOA, and life in the foreign service. So turn on your notifications and don't miss the next one. Until next time, stay focused. Let's get mission ready. And I'll see you in the next video. Future Diplomat.